Hello, everyone, and welcome back. In aviation, we often talk about the point of no return, that critical moment where a decision has to be made to save the aircraft. Today, we're looking at a Gulfstream IV operating a short, high pressure flight in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And as you're about to see, on this runway, there was absolutely no margin for error. Our setting is Bukavu, in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Serving this region is Kavumu Airport. When looking at the airport diagram, you can see that Kavumu presents a unique set of challenges. First of all, it sits at an elevation of over 5,600 feet. At this altitude, the air is thin. This increases your true airspeed, meaning even though your instruments show a normal speed, you're actually moving across the ground much faster than at sea level. The real threat is at the end of runway 17, a nearly 400-foot vertical drop down into a farmer's field. At Kavumu, if you don't stop the aircraft on the runway, that's it. You're all out of options. Weather was not considered a significant factor in the accident. Conditions at Bukavu that afternoon were typical for the region. Partly cloudy skies, warm temperatures around 82 degrees, visibility greater than 10 nautical miles, and light winds out of the west. The approach was conducted under visual flight rules, with no reports of severe weather, heavy rain, or low visibility affecting the landing. So what happened? The flight originated at Njili International Airport in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Following routine pre-flight preparations, the Gulfstream IV began taxiing for departure on the first leg of the journey to Goma, a flight expected to take about 2.5 hours. Only the flight crew were on board on this leg, as the passengers bound for Bukavu would board the aircraft later in Goma. With weather conditions favorable and the aircraft prepped for departure, the crew taxied toward the active runway for takeoff. With departure clearance received, the Gulfstream IV took off from Kinshasa, beginning the first leg of the journey towards eastern Congo. After departure, the aircraft tracked northeast across the country en route towards the city of Goma, near the border of Rwanda. The flight to Goma was scheduled to take about 2.5 hours. From there, the aircraft would continue on a much shorter 20-minute flight south to the Kavumu Airport. Short flights present a unique challenge for flight crews. Unlike long flights, there is very little time between takeoff and landing to prepare the aircraft, brief the approach, configure systems, and stabilize the descent. Workload inside the cockpit increases rapidly, forcing pilots to transition almost immediately from departure procedures to arrival planning. In these situations, discipline and strict adherence to standard operating procedures becomes critical. Even small distractions, rush checklists, or delayed decisions can quickly compound into serious problems during the approach and landing phase. Unable to stop, 2 Sierra Alpha went off the end of the runway at high speed and plummeted down the nearly 400-foot embankment. The aircraft struck terrain below the runway and broke apart. There was no post-crash fire. Both members of the flight crew were killed on impact, along with 2 senior members of the Congolese government. Tragically, the disaster extended beyond the passengers and crew, as 2 local farmers were struck and killed by the aircraft while working in a field below the runway. What began as a routine domestic flight ended in catastrophe. Investigators concluded that the accident was the result of an unstable approach and a late touchdown. Instead of landing on the runway threshold, the Gulfstream floated in ground effect and touched down over halfway down the entire runway, leaving insufficient room to stop. Although the captain applied maximum reverse thrust, the remaining runway simply wasn't enough to prevent the overrun. Investigators also found that the spoilers were stowed during the entire landing sequence. This means that either the crew missed the item during the before landing checklist or they were inoperable. This accident highlights the importance of adhering to checklists and CRM, especially during short flights into challenging airports. The safest decision for the captain to make would have been to abandon this approach and do a go-around. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more business and private jet accident investigations. See you soon.